Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Gaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sri Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sambhaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, entitled Pure Devotional Service, the Change in Heart. Text number 14. Etad Shishushatam Vidvan Sutta Shatam Shashatam Vidvan Sutta Sibashatam Satam Sadasi Dhruva Shashatam Vidvan Sutta Narasi Bhashatam Satam Sadasi Dhruvan Shashatam Vidvan Sutta Narasi Bhashatam Satam Sadasi Dhruvan
Etat Shushushutang Vidvan
Etat Shushushutang Vidvan
Sutta Nurhasi Bhashitam
Sutta Narasi Bhashatam
Katahari Kato Darka Satang Susadasi Dhruvam Etat Shushushutang Vidvan Sutta Narashi Bhashitam
Narasi Bhashatam
Katahari Kato Darkaha Satam Sayu Sadasi Dhruvam
Etat Shushushutang Vidvan Sutta Narasi Bhashitam Kata harikato darka. Tam su sarasi dhruvam.
Yatash Shushru Satam Vidvan
Tam Vidvan.
Subdano Arhasi Bashitum
Sita Narhasi Bashatum.
Katahari Kato Darka
Hari Tadaka.
Satam Siyu Sadasi Dhruvam
Etach Chushushatam Vidvan
Ekta Shishu Satam Vidvan.
Sutanor Harsibhashitum
Sita Narhasi Bashatum.
Kata Harikato Dharka
Katari Katadarka.
Satam Syu Sadasi Dhruvam
Sadasi Drivam.
Yatashushu Satam Vidvan
Etatsushu Shatam Vidvan.
Sutanam Sikashitum
Sita Narhasi Bashatum.
Katahari Kato Darka
Katari Katadarka.
Satam Siyu Sadasi Dhruvam
Sadasi Drivam. Etat this Shishushatam of those eager to hear. Vidvan. Sutta Goswami. To us. See. Just to explain it. Topics. Result in the topics of the Lord. Satam of the devotees. Shu may be. Sadasi in the assembly of. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Oh, learned Sutta Goswami, please continue to explain such topics to us, because we are all eager to hear. Besides that, topics which result in the discussion of the Lord Hari should certainly be discussed in the assembly of devotees. Report. As we have already quoted above from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Rupa Goswami, even mundane things, if dovetailed in the service of the Lord Sri Krishna, are accepted as transcendental. For example, the epics or the histories of Ramayana and Mahabharata, which are specifically recommended for the less intelligent class of men, women, Shudras, and unworthy sons of the higher castes, are also accepted as Vedic literature because they are compiled in connection with the activities of the Lord. Mahabharata is accepted as the fifth division of the Vedas after its first four divisions, namely Sama, Yajas, Rik, and Atharva. The less intelligent class of men do not accept Mahabharata as part of the Vedas. The great sages and authorities accept it as the fifth division of the Vedas. Bhagavad Gita is also part of the Mahabharata, and it is full of the Lord's instruction for the less intelligent class of men. Some less intelligent men say that Bhagavad Gita is not meant for the householders. Such foolish men forget that Bhagavad Gita was explained to a Grihasta like Arjuna and spoken by the Lord in his role as a Grihasta, family man. So Bhagavad Gita, although containing the high philosophy of the Vedic wisdom, is for the beginners in the transcendental science, and Srimad Bhagavatam is for graduates and postgraduates in the transcendental science. Therefore, literatures like Mahabharata, the Puranas, and similar other literatures, which are full of the pastimes of the Lord, are all transcendental literatures, and they should be discussed with full confidence in the society of great devotees. The difficulty is that such literatures, when discussed by professional men, appear to be mundane literature, like histories or epics, because there are so many historical facts and figures. It is said here, therefore, that such literatures should be discussed in the assembly of the devotees. Unless they are discussed by devotees, such literatures cannot be relished by the higher class of men. So the conclusion is that the Lord is not impersonal in the ultimate issue. He is the Supreme Person, and he has his different activities. He is the leader of all living entities, and he descends at his will and by his personal energy to reclaim the fallen souls, being exactly like the social, political, or religious leaders. Because such roles ultimately culminate in the discussion of topics of the Lord, all such preliminary topics are also transcendental. That is the way of spiritualizing the civic activities of human society. Men have inclinations for starting history and many other mundane literatures, stories, fiction, dramas, magazines, newspapers, etc. So let them be dovetailed with the transcendental service of the Lord, and all of them will turn to the topics relished by all devotees. The propaganda that the Lord is impersonal, that he has no activity, and that he is a dumb stone without any name and form, he has encouraged people to become godless, faithless demons. And the more they deviate from the transcendental activities of the Lord, the more they become accustomed to mundane activities, then they clear their path to hell instead of returning them home, back to Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam begins from the history of the Pandavas with necessary politics and social activities, and yet Srimad Bhagavatam is said to be the Bhagavatam Sahita, or the Vedic literature meant for the topmost transcendentalist, and in the Srimad Bhagavatam, from Jnana, highest transcendental knowledge is described. Your devotees of the Lord are all Paramahamsas, and they are like the swans who know the art of sucking milk out of the mixture of milk and water. And the footnote in this last paragraph is at the bottom of this page. I'll read it as follows. Srila Prabhupada writes here, even 50 years ago, the social structure of all Indians was so arranged that they would not read any literature which was not connected with the activities of the Lord. They would not play any drama which was not connected with the Lord. They would not organize a fair or ceremony which was not connected with the Lord, nor would they visit a place which was not holy and sanctified by the pastimes of the Lord. Therefore, even a common man in the village would talk about Ramayana and Mahabharata, Gita and Bhagavatam, even from his very childhood. By the influence of the age of Kali, they have been dragged to the civilization of the dogs and hogs, laboring for bread without any sense of transcendental knowledge. He's in the start of our march, eager to hear any comment you might have. Okay, so this is the statement of Learned Sutta Goswami. He was speaking in the forest of Namaskaraja to the stages who were headed by Shaunaka Rishi. Does anyone here know who Sutta Goswami's father was? Right, Ramaharshan Sutta. So after Ramaharshan Sutta was killed by Lord Balaram by striking with the blade of Kusha grass, the sages elected Sutta Goswami to take his father's place as the head of the sages at Naimisharanya. And these sages of Naimisharanya, they all attain perfection because, as we learn here, they are all eager to hear. This is a very important qualification in spiritual life. If one is eager to hear about Krishna, one is eager to chant about Krishna, then he makes rapid progress in devotional service. And in the age of Kali, these two activities, Shravanam, Kirtan, and Vishnu, are explained by Lord Chaitanya as the most important items of the 9 items of devotional service. And because we have material propensities, because I'm influenced by modes of ignorance and passion. Therefore, besides hearing and chanting, there's so many other duties to perform in Krishna consciousness. And the spiritual master has mercifully engaged us in various duties in serving Sri Sri Gaura-Nitai. So the pure devotees of the Lord are described here as Paramahamsas. They're like the swans who know the art of sucking milk out of a mixture of milk and water. So the Paramahamsas, they take the spiritual essence and they reject matter. They reject things that are not favorable for devotional service, and they accept everything which is favorable for devotional service. Therefore, they're pure devotees. The matter can reclaim its original spiritual nature by being dovetailed in the service of the Lord. This Srimad Bhagavatam is very important when it is discussing the assembly of devotees. One time, Sanatana Goswami, he was a minister in the government of Nawab Hussain Shah in West Bengal. He was a very responsible officer, but once upon a time, he reported that he was sick, but he was actually going to an assembly of Brahmins, and they were discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is the real business of the Mahatmas. They're always eager to hear and chant the glories of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Jai Sri Sri Gaura-Nitai. Some less intelligent men say the Bhagavad Gita is not meant for the householders, but Bhagavad Gita was spoken by a householder, Sri Krishna, when he was in that role on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and it was spoken to a householder, Arjuna. And the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita is sannyas and tyaga, renunciation and renounced order of life. So even the householders, although they have the license for sense gratification, they are encouraged to renounce as much as possible and engage as much as possible in the service of the Lord, and only maintain that the body is only to keep body and soul together. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the history, not only on this planet, but of the entire universe. There are many millions of planets in this universe, and each one of them has a past, present, and future. And Srimad Bhagavatam describes the most important incidents that happen in different planets in the universe. The mundaners in mundane history, the most that goes back is maybe like 5,000 years. And even from that period, the knowledge is very imperfect. But Srimad Bhagavatam, we have histories that go back millions, trillions of years from the beginning of creation. The lifetime of Lord Brahma is 311 trillion, 40 million Earth years. So this is unimaginable to the materialists, but for a pure devotee, even the lifetime of Brahma, the long duration of life is insignificant, because a devotee is engaged in the eternal activities of Krishna consciousness. And in the spiritual world, there's no influence of time. Everything is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. So we can understand from Srimad Bhagavatam, it's full of a treasure house of knowledge, just like Damodar was explaining yesterday. Anything you're interested in, you could find that subject matter in the Srimad Bhagavatam, whether it's sociology, whether it's astronomy, cosmology, chemistry, physics. Everything's described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Any comments or questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd like to emphasize the point that Prabhupada makes, that the topics of Bhagavatam and Mahabharata, Ramayana, etc., should be discussed by the devotees. The non-devotees, they may like to discuss these topics, but the problem is that they change them. They add their own philosophy. In fact, many times they like to use the scriptures, especially Bhagavad Gita, to present and popularize their own theories instead of what the Bhagavad Gita is actually meant for, Srimad Bhagavatam. And they bring in all kinds of mundane ideas that are politically acceptable at the time, but the damage is done to the scriptures when they alter them. And inevitably they do, because they Uttam Harikatamritam. The milk is like hearing the scriptures, the descriptions of Krishna, the Lord, are like nectar of tasting milk, but milk touched by the lips of a serpent causes poisonous effects. So one should not hear the topics of the Lord, even though we might think that the topics of the Lord are so pure. Why should we not hear them, even if they're handled by someone who's not a devotee? And the problem is that they'll inject their poison. Ultimately, they don't accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because if they did, they wouldn't be going and changing his words and making him speak what they want to speak. They have their own agenda. They have their plans for society. They have their astronomical ideas. They have all their own ideas, and they like to use the Lord as a mouthpiece. This is like someone smoking marijuana through someone else's hand. The other person holds it, so then he gets to stay in his hand. So this is cheating, and the devotee should be careful not to hear such topics not presented by devotees, because they'll be influenced and they may come up with some misunderstandings of the Lord's plan.
Brother Maharaj, thank you very much. This is so true. Even some of the greatest scholars in India, they misinterpret Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Even Dr. Radha Krishna, he was one of the greatest scholars in India, and he wrote a commentary on Bhagavad Gita and published it in English. And he said, it is not to Krishna we have to surrender, but to the unborn within Krishna. Because he's envious of Krishna, he doesn't want to serve Krishna. He concocted his own philosophy, and he rejects Krishna's simple philosophy, which is very clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And Mahatma Gandhi, he used to say, when I wake up in the morning, I brush my teeth. And when I'm brushing my teeth, I think of one sloka of Bhagavad Gita. And the next morning, when I'm brushing my teeth, I remember another sloka of Bhagavad Gita. In this way, I start my day off on a positive note. And Mahatma Gandhi said, whenever I'm in distress, whenever I'm in fear, whenever doubts haunt me, whenever I'm unhappy, I take shelter of my mother. And someone asked, Mahamaji, who is your mother? And Mahatma Gandhi said, my mother is the Bhagavad Gita. So this is the advantage of being born in India. It's the land of Dharma, and the inhabitants there are naturally inclined to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. But unfortunately, nowadays they've been misled by materialists and Mayavadis. Thank you all for patiently hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. It's time for the Sankirtan Festival. All glories to this divine grace. Yes, Prabhu. Yes, here's another question.
So I had a little curiosity and we were talking about Brahma and his lifetime. And compared to us, we seem like insects. So I'm just wondering, like, if there are actual insects on Brahmaloka where they have, a longer lifespan. I don't know.
Yes, each planet is full of living entities. Even on the sun planet, there's Vivaswan, and there are palaces, and there are horses, other animals, cows, but they all have fiery bodies. So each planet has a different atmosphere, and the living entities on that planet are adapted to that particular atmosphere. And each planet has oceans and mountains. So sometimes my bodies get bored by trying to meditate on Brahman, where there's no varieties. They try to meditate on the Brahma Jyoti, and because by nature, a living entity can crave for varieties, they come to the Srimad Bhagavatam and they discuss it. But thinking that Krishna accepts a body made of a material nature, this is the greatest offense of the Mayavadis. They think that Krishna's body is material, Krishna's Maya, and the devotees who are worshiping Krishna, they're also Maya, and devotional service is Maya. So therefore they're called Mayavadis. Generally, they don't call themselves Mayavadis, they call themselves Vedantists. Even in Kansas City, there's a society of Vedantists here. So unfortunately, this Mayavadi culture is pervading the whole world. So this is the great mission of the Krishna consciousness movement to defeat this demonia culture, which is the most dangerous philosophy in the world. It's more dangerous than atheism. At least the atheists are honest. They say we don't believe in God. That's all right. But the Mayavadis, they say they believe in God, but at the same time, they're offensive to God by saying that God has no hands, no legs, no eyes. That means God is lame, dumb, deaf, and blind. All glories to His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
God.
So if anybody has a score, they can, yeah. So we will announce the book distribution results for this week for the pleasure of Shri Shri Gaur Nitai, Tulsi Maharani, Lord Nrsimhadev, Srila Prabhupada, and all the assembled devotees, and also the previous acharyas. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Okay. So this week, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 distributors that were able to report. We have more distributors that I'm sure weren't able to report yet. So in 4th position, with 1 big book and 1 medium book for a total of 3 points, Jivadaya Prabhu. Haribol. And in 3rd position, with 5 Maha big books, 13 big books, 6 medium books, and 8 small books for a total of 28.0 book points, Magadari Das. In 2nd position, with 12 Maha big books, 18 big books, and 2 small books for a total of 42.5 book points, Bhakti-Damodar Prabhu. And in 1st position, with 16 Maha big books, 17 big books, and 2 small books for a total of 49.5 book points, Jagannath Prabhu.
How about the traveling party?
Was the total?
Traveling party.
Traveling party. They are not, they don't have service, as far as I understand.
You mean internet service?
Yeah, I haven't been able to contact them.
Yeah, phone.
Well, let's try.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Please leave your message for
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Maybe we can contact them today sometime and give the updated report tomorrow. So everyone can know because they're the big distributors out there in the field. So we like to hear their scores too.
Okay, there was one more score not from them. And this will be the fifth distributor, and one big book and two small books for 1.5 book points, Teresa Mataji.
Hello.
Okay, so now I'll calculate the totals, but we can do some stories. So this was at a neighborhood Walmart. It was by a place called Palancana, and we had just gotten there, and I just went up to the first lady I saw, which was an elderly lady, and I asked her, like, I don't know what I asked her to start off, but I told her about the books, and I was able to get her to take some. So it was nice. She was an elderly lady, so it's always nice to see that, you know. So Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai.
Haribo. Hmm. I'm struggling to remember one. Prabhu, do you remember one that I did? We went to Spanish shopping center and we went to Walmart. It was, we usually go out from around 2 to 6:20, 6:30. I just can't remember one for some reason. Yeah, that's true. Bhagavad Gita. They were all Bhagavad Gita. And big books were all SSR. Man. Oh, there was one nice guy. All right, I remember. He was a big fellow. You know, he had a beard, a big ginger beard. He was just walking this way in the parking lot. I was walking towards him. I just approached him with the usual, you know, hey, you got the good energy. Here's a book on meditation. You know about meditation. And started to explain it, and he was really interested, and he was asking me all these questions because he knew about Dharma, and he knew about all these things, and he knew about the Buddhist traditions, and so he was asking me all these nice questions, and he gave a nice donation and took a Bhagavad Gita and an SSR. Jai. Jai. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai.
So we were at the plaza on Saturday, and we were doing Harinam for a couple hours or an hour and a half or so, and then we had a few nice groups come and start dancing with us. They were some prom kids, and they were enthusiastic to try it out, have some fun, and then at the same time, like an older couple came. Or, you know, they were also young people, but maybe they were already out of college and like that. But they came and he gave me a donation, and then they started to walk away. I guess they were enjoying it. And then I gave them the SSR and a medium book. And they also chanted. We roped them into the chanting with the other prom kids. And so that was fun. They liked it. And that was that. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. So we will try to check in with the big time book distributors who are out in the field, and we'll give the updated totals tomorrow. Hare Krishna.